You have your headphones in, right? You have your headphones in? Can you hear me on the thing? Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, I hear you. You hear me now? Hi, guys. Just gonna give it a couple of minutes before people start coming in. I know it's not normally my normal live day. Talk about it Tuesdays, but I didn't want to go the whole week without coming out to you guys. Well, seeing you guys. So definitely hi, Cicely. So I was just actually looking over a few things here, waiting for you guys to come in. Hi, Carmen. So guys, I hope you guys are having a great week. And of course, today's Friday. It's the freaking weekend. So hopefully you guys have a great weekend also. So, guys, interesting week for me. I did get some rest, and I thank you guys for being so understanding. Um, yeah, sometimes you just got to take a little break, a little breather, and that's exactly what I needed to do. And I'm glad I did it because, I like to be here for you guys. I like to be present for you guys. Hi, Stella. Hi, G. Raphael. I'm so glad you guys could be here today. I hope I didn't impose on your Friday night. I don't know what you guys had planned, but love you all. Hi, Gil. So yeah, it's been an interesting week, but I definitely am glad that I got the rest that I needed to get, and I'm glad that I could be here, be present with you guys, be here for you guys, and we just do our thing. We do our thing like we always do every week. And okay, so everybody's saying hi to everybody. I have to mention this, guys, because I know that you guys really understand the whole concept of what it is that I do, and you have your reason for being here, and you guys have come so far on each and every one of your journeys, and you guys have learned so much, and you've applied so much to yourselves, and I'm so super proud of you guys for that. And as you know, that I do have a number of platforms that I like to just reach out and create awareness however way I can through as many platforms as I can. And thankfully I have, Amanda to help me with that, because with the schedule, everything has been crazy. But, we do our best to try to create the awareness and just really, really try to help people as much as we possibly can. And, I told you guys that I started a TikTok, and I started putting up the short videos, just for people who are on TikTok too. And, TikTok is used for many reasons. Okay, I've seen plenty of videos, and of course, educating people and helping people is always useful. But I often get people who tend to not really understand the survivor community. They don't really understand the whole concept of narcissistic abuse, of relationships that are riddled with abuse. And I think one of the reasons why they don't really understand is because people often correlate abuse with physical abuse. Like, if you can't see it on the external, if you can't see the scars, oh well, it's not abuse. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the recent story. What was the recent story with the girl and her boyfriend? They went on a trip. It was some kind of it was a story. It was recent. I think it was, yeah, they went on some kind of cross country trip. And people who are dealing with abuse in relationships often are looked at as being unstable, because we're very reactive to certain types of abuse. An emotional manipulator, a psychological manipulator, can be very cool, calm, and collected, like if they're not doing anything wrong. And the victims often get put in that category, like, they're unstable because they're being emotionally reactive. And I don't know too much about the story in itself, but if you're familiar with the guys, it's been on social media recently. It's been on YouTube, and with the young girl, I can't recall her name, but if you do know it, please type it in the hi hi Andrea, hi sweetheart. So yeah, G. So you know about this story? It's been circulating on social media. I don't know her name. I actually, and it's crazy. I just screenshot uh, a post with her picture on it because I mean, listen, if this isn't awareness, I don't know what is. But you know, prior to her disappearance, and I think she was murdered, right? She was murdered. Um, her boyfriend was pulled over by the police. This was an encounter with the police, and she was emotionally distraught. She was, people tend to think that domestic abuse is only physical. It's not just physical abuse. It's emotional, it's psychological, it's spiritual, it's everything, and it's not only on women, it's on men too. And instantly when I guess the police asked him, if everything was all right, what's wrong with her, whatever, she was clearly reactive. um, he automatically put, "Oh, she's crazy." And the problem that women have, listen, I know for you men, I know I advocate a lot for you, especially when it boils down to female narcissists. But I want you to understand something too. Just as there are female narcissists, there are female victims. And we often get put into that category of being overly emotional, being crazy, being psychotic. And it's not every female, it's not every woman. You do have women who stand on that that gray line between being black and white. And unfortunately we get caught up in that. We get caught up in that mess, and we get confused with these types of females. But instantly, the police clearly saw an emotional woman, and I guess listen, they just probably figured, oh, it's a lover's quarrel or whatever. And okay, he's calm, he's cool, he's collected, she's clearly overly emotional, and probably blowing something out of proportion. It's stuff like this that we have to really, really open our eyes. We have to open our eyes and see things for what it truly is. And let's not close our eyes to the fact that men can go through this too. Men can be in very physically abusive relationships. And though you may not hear as many stories about it, when you do hear stories about it, a lot of the time it's like kind of brushed, swept under the rug, because it's like unheard of. It's unheard of. It's always the man who's abusing the woman. It's always the man who's going to jail because they're physically hurting the woman. And this is where we have to use discernment. We have to really use discernment in situations. We have to use our intuition and really look deeper beyond, because a man who smiles, in public, may be going through something deeper in private. And the same for women, vice versa. So it's something that we really have to just consider. We have to consider these things. Okay. I definitely want to read more into the story, so I'll probably read more into it when I'm done with the live. I just I get heavily involved with people who advocate for victims of crime, victims of abuse, it's all under the same umbrella. It's all under the same umbrella. And people tend to think that narcissistic abuse is just, okay, so you dealt with a narcissist, just leave them, walk away and just leave. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. If you dealt with someone who is a narcissist or who is severely narcissistic, that usually goes into physical abuse. Narcissistic abuse is not only emotional and psychological. If you maintain a relationship or bond in that dynamic long enough, it can go into physical abuse. And unfortunately, you've had plenty of women, plenty of men who were victims of this abuse that have not made it out. And by that, have not made it out because they've either taken their own lives or their lives have been taken from them. So the severity of this, we really, really have to just keep our eyes open, keep our minds open, and really just use your discernment. Use your discernment, especially if you're meeting people. if you decide you want to start dating again, or if you decide you want to be in a new dynamic with someone, you really have to utilize the experience that you had with whomever it was that had put you in this position, and just pay very close attention. Very close attention. All right. So, my concern is your safety. That's my concern. Everyone's safety is always a concern. And as parents, we want to make sure that our children, when they get old enough and they start to date and they start to get involved, that they're following our footsteps. They're following our discernment. And you guys know me. You know how I am with my son. So I'm always going to make sure that my son is making the right decisions. He has his own identity, but he's making the decisions that will benefit him, that will help him in the end. Yeah, Andrea, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad that, a lot of you have gotten out of those dynamics and you have decided to take hold of your lives and just be strong enough to face the unknown. When you get out of a relationship with an emotional manipulator, a narcissist is a type of manipulator. There are so many different types. Okay. There are so many different types. A narc is a type of manipulator. When you get out of these dynamics, the reason it's so hard to let go, the reason it's so hard to detach yourself is because you have been so embedded within that trauma bond that you're afraid. You're afraid of what's next, what's to come next. You're afraid because a lot of the time people who have been discarded by narcissists, have been led to believe that they could do no better. Okay, they could do no better. A narcissist does this, and listen, you guys know I love you, and you guys know that I keep it 100 with you, okay? And this is in no way, shape, or form a negative reflection on you. But a narcissist goes for people who primarily have low self-esteem, okay? Who primarily have low self-esteem. We've all been guilty of that. We've been guilty of low self-esteem and codependency and things like that. So don't take offense to it, and don't beat yourself up about it. Don't do that either, but they go for people who have good hearts because their main concern is getting supply. Their main concern is fulfilling their needs. Okay. And this stems back to when? What do I always tell you guys? It stems back to their childhood. Okay. When you notice a narcissist is being petty or they're being very infantile and they're acting like a child, it's because their growth is very stunted. Their emotional growth, very stunted. Okay, their psychological growth, very stunted. So in physical form, they are adults. They're adult people, but they're still children in that aspect. And when a child is not getting what they want, when a child, wants to throw a tantrum because they know by throwing that tantrum, they're going to eventually get something that they want from that source, that's what they do. That's what they do. They throw those tantrums. They make you feel, inadequate in your relationship. And what you do in that relationship is you internalize that. Okay. So because there was something that they were not pleased with in your relationship, they led you to believe, they gaslit you. They led you to believe that it was your fault. You're the reason why they're unsatisfied. You're the reason why you internalized that. You took that in. And because you took that in, you didn't realize you were dealing with someone who was stunted. All this time, you thought it was you. You thought it was your problem. You thought that you weren't doing something right. You weren't fulfilling their needs. You weren't giving in. And that's why I did that latest video that I did. I want you to understand that. I want you to, the videos I do is primarily for survivors and for victims. What I want you to understand is you were not responsible for their happiness. First of all, you dealt with a narcissist. They're never going to be completely happy. Okay. Especially if they don't feel any need to change. They would have never been completely happy. All right. You could have walked in there with diamonds and gold all over your body and it did not matter. Because they would have just taken it off of your body, taken whatever they could from you, and then boom, it still would have been the same thing. They would have went their merry way. This is, believe it or not, their actions and their, everything they've done. This is a defense mechanism for them. Okay, they don't get close. They don't get emotionally attached because they don't know how to emotionally attach to people. They didn't know how to emotionally attach with you. What they knew was there was something that you had that they wanted. There was something that you had that was fulfilling them at that point in time. That's all they knew. But when it boils down to love, emotions, equality, everything that a healthy relationship would have, they didn't know how to do it, therefore they could not sustain it. But that does not excuse their behaviors. That does not excuse their behaviors. I was reading an article on the different the myths and facts of narcissism, and psychologists are saying, well, listen, they're not really aware of what they're doing. They're not really aware of the harm that they're causing. You guys know how I stand with that. You know where I stand with that. Okay, you already know where I stand with that. At the end of the day, if you are doing something, and I would give that some form of validation if and only if, and I don't even know, it's a slippery slope with that too, if and only if they were mentally incapable of understanding conscious decisions, their actions. Okay. And as far as, listen, they may not know they're in fact a narcissist. They may not label themselves as one, but when you are lying to someone, when you are hurting someone, especially if the victim is telling you, why are you doing this? This is so hurtful. This is so wrong. It's so demeaning. Why would you do something like this? Okay. And if you notice that a lot of the time they're doing it very sneakily, they're doing it stealthy, like behind closed doors, or if they're doing it, with triangulation, where they're kind of, it's like they're deflecting, and they're it's like what is it, like it looks like the Jedi mind trick, it's where people can't see it in plain sight. Okay, when people cannot see it in plain sight, that's manipulation. That is planning. That is, just doing a blueprint, drawing up a blueprint on how you're going to do something. If you're in a relationship, if a narcissist is in a relationship and they are grooming someone else while they're in a relationship with you, you're going to tell me they don't know what they're doing? Come on. That's bull. It's bull. That's bull. And at the end of the day, one of the things I've learned in my experiences, is that each and every time I was involved, in a relationship, or even in just any kind of dynamic, when someone would tell me, well, it's you're the problem. You're this, you're that. You're overly emotional, Erica. You're constantly, questioning. You're constantly doing this. You're constantly doing that. It's like you really, to avoid accountability, they blamed me for their issues because they didn't want to sit there and say, I'm a screwed up person. I'm a messed up individual. Okay. I'm not the person that you thought I was. No, they would say something to the effect of, well, I'm sorry, I couldn't be the person you wanted me to be. The person I wanted you to be and the person I thought you were when I met you are two different things. Okay. If I did not like you for who I thought you were, I would not have stayed in this dynamic. Who wants to stay with someone that they don't like? Who wants to stay with someone that they don't care about? Nobody does. So, a lot of you have, pretty much, in this dynamic, with leaving this dynamic and just, hi, Queen of the South, how are you, sweetheart? In being discarded from this dynamic, you walked away with the idea that you had inadequacies because of their actions. And that was primarily due to the fact that you were being gaslit, that you were being told, I did all of these things because you were acting this way, because you were constantly harping on me. You were being overly emotional. You were doing this, you were doing that, you were saying this. It all started with you. So you took that in and said, you know something? You tried to reason. You basically said to yourself, okay, you know what? I see what you mean. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because now you're basically validating them gaslighting you. You don't, when someone is taking accountability, that means that they are acknowledging their wrongdoings. They are acknowledging the pain that they've caused. They're acknowledging their manipulation, their deception. They're acknowledging their behaviors. And they are apologizing to you and saying, I am sorry for what I did. I have issues. I have issues with commitment. I have issues with relationship. I have issues with, being honest, whatever the case may be. The minute someone tells you, I cheated on you because you know, because those actions were choices. They were choices. When people make choices, it's because it's been lingering on their mind. It's been sitting there, and they chose to do it. So when they deflect, then and that's what makes you feel inadequate. That's what makes you feel like something's wrong with me. This, my boyfriend or my girlfriend, they started seeing someone else because something was wrong with me. No. There was nothing wrong with you. I'm sure you had your own ish that you were dealing with, and your own ish that you had to take accountability for. But do not take someone committing infidelity, someone deciding to disrespect your boundaries and disrespect you. Don't take that as it was my fault because I wasn't there, because I wasn't being the woman or the man that they needed me to be. Because no. Okay. Infidelity comes from a very selfish place, guys. It comes from a very selfish place. If you're in a relationship with someone and they decide to go outside of your relationship, they were being selfish. Okay. That was a very selfish choice. And the mere fact that they would blame you for committing these acts is a very coward move. Extremely coward. Okay. Now, unless, and even so, guys, if you were being abusive, if you were being physically abusive to them, verbally abusive to them, whatever the case may be, even so, if you were doing those things, they should have just said, I'm done with this relationship. I'm done with you. I don't want to be with you because you're an abusive person. You put your hands on me. You did, you did all of these things to me. That is a valid reason for leaving a relationship. Okay. But being a coward, committing acts, and then blaming the person for your actions, that's a very coward move. But we've all fallen victim to that. We have. I've done it. I've sat there and said to myself, something's wrong with me. Something is wrong with me. And the reality of it was that though I had my own codependency issues within myself, that person who decided to be the way they were, who decided to be disrespectful and just say all the mean and hurtful and horrible things, because I know for a fact that I treated them with nothing but respect, never cheated, nothing. That lets me know that that was a problem with them. They had their own issues. They had some things that they had to deal with. Okay, guys, give me 1 second. I just want to. Yeah, Queen. It's they do know right from wrong. We all know right from wrong. We all know right from wrong. Okay. The one thing that we can, listen, you break the law, you're wrong. Okay. Trespassing. You trespass on someone's property and it says no trespassing, that you're wrong. If psychologists, whoever can sit there and say, okay, well, they don't realize and listen, unless you've gone through the experience, I don't really think people will understand. People really won't understand. They understand from textbook. They understand from, whatever studies. Okay. But tell them, get involved with a narcissist and then see if because to me, it just seems like invalidation for the victims. It's like, okay, so what are you saying? So it's okay for them to do it because they don't know. No. Okay, we all know right from wrong. In every relationship you ever get involved in, guys, it's by choice. Everything you do in that relationship is always by choice. It's always going to be by choice. Anything you do is by choice. Okay, when you started with them and you were doing nice things for them, you were catering to them, you were giving them, you were buying gifts, whatever the case may be, you were doing these things for them. You did it because you chose to do it. Nobody put a gun to your head. Nobody said you better buy this for this person or go out of your way for this person. No, you did it because you wanted to do it, right? It's the same thing for a narcissist. Okay, they did it. They did what they did in your relationship because the kind of love, okay, we're gonna put that in quotation marks, was transactional. All right, and it's the same thing for codependence. All right, their type of love was transactional. So whomever the narcissist was in, or the extremely narcissistic person in their life was, they have basically turned the idea of love and they basically made it to be something of a transaction, right? So you think transaction, you think you're purchasing a product. So you give me something, you give me your credit card and I give you this product. That's pretty much how it was growing up in that particular type of dynamic. Narcissistic people who are narcs, grew up in environments where there was no emotional connection. There was no type of genuineness, no type of love, no type of connect. There was nothing. It was just a barrier between. And whomever the parents or the caregivers were in their life, they basically kept that barrier there. They kept that barrier there. The narcissist or the narky person, we're just going to call him the narc, basically internalized that. This is how I'm supposed to be with people. This is how you are with me, so this is how I'm supposed to be with people. And depending on the type of narcissistic person you dealt with, you're going to have the scapegoat types and you're going to have the golden child types. Every narcissist is different. All right. The scapegoat types are the ones who are more brutal. They're more, they're more angry. They're very malignant. They're very, dark, and they're just like, it's like, what the hell? And then the golden child types are the ones who have had their ego stroked way too much because they were too busy giving into the narcissist in their life. They were feeding the fuel to that narcissist, whether it be the mom or the dad, and that parent put them on a very high pedestal, having them believe, because remember I told you, narcissistic children are the extension of their parents' egos. So if the child is fulfilling the parent, if the child is catering and giving into the parent's going to continue to put that child on the pedestal because it's that extension. That's the extension of their ego. So some of you have dealt with golden child narcissists. Some of you have dealt with scapegoat narcissists, where, and I've had my fair share of scapegoat narcissists. And I'm going to tell you something. It's not pretty. It really is not pretty, because the scapegoat narcissists are the ones who internalize the emotional verbal abuse, the problems. They take on the responsibilities. They're the ones who have to be, they're the ones who are pretty much left to be the ones to have to be taking care of their narcissist parent. While the golden child is the one who gets to just pretty much go out into the world and do what they want to do, terrorizing people. And again, psychologists may not like to use certain terminology when it comes to describing them, but the reality of it is that you don't know unless you were really there. You don't know what was really going on unless you were really there. What you were dealing with was, you were dealing with projection that was pretty much projected onto them. So it just kind of it bounces. It goes from them to you, and then if they go to the next victim, it goes to the next victim. Give me 1 second. Ty, funny thing is, my ex was like, you make choices because you wanted to. Then when I called her out on her stuff, she'd say, I'm only doing what you do. Yeah, you know, narcissistic people are it's like that they'll compare their actions because they're so petty. They'll compare what they do. So it's like, for example, let's say you I mean, listen, everyone is capable of committing a transgression, right? Let's say you did something in the past and you know you apologized for it, you repented for it, and you basically said, look, I'm sorry I hurt you, whatever the case may be, it won't happen again, and it doesn't happen again. A lot of the time what they will end up doing is they'll end up holding that over your head. So that's kind of like their ticket, their like get out of jail free card, you know. If you do something that they feel slighted by, or if you do something that did slight, you know, that did cause some kind of narcissistic injury or whatever the case may be, whether intentional or not, that is a get out of jail free card. That's, well, you did you, now I'm gonna do me, and you can't say anything about it. They always have this thing about one-upping you. They have to one-up you, or they're gonna basically get back at you, but they're gonna make sure they do it in a way that you will never forget. So whether you were just genuinely mistaken or you were genuine, you know, you it doesn't matter what role you played in it. They will basically hold that over you, and they will continue to hold it over you until the time is right. And it's sad. It really is sad. I've had people slight me. I've had people betray me. I've had people hurt me. I am a forgiving person, but that's only if you're genuinely sorry about it. So do I sit here and say an eye for an eye? No, I don't do that. I don't do that because it doesn't do anything for me and it don't do anything for you. And at the end of the day, it's just racking up some really bad karma that I do not want. So it's just, if I'm going to forgive you, I forgive you. We move on from it, and that is it. If I don't forgive you, I don't forgive you. We move on from it, and that's it. It's either or, but there's no in between where I'm going to hold it over your head and use that as a form of leverage. But that's what they do. That's what they do. Queen, crazy thing is, Erica, his baby mama inboxed me telling me it was a fake relationship. He was using me. You know what, Queen? I'm going to tell you something about that. That can go one of two ways. Okay? That can go one of two ways. And here's why. And I like to keep all options open when it comes to these situations. One, she's either, you know, another victim of his little web, and she's one of his flying monkeys. She's an enabler, and she's always had a thing for him, and he probably convinced her that, you know, be in my life or whatever the case may be, because it's common with victims. It's very common. She may be one of those types that is so embedded in whatever trauma bond there is between the two of them that she's enabling his behavior because it allows her to continuously be in his life. Two, she could be another narcissist too, or a narcissistic individual who is, you know, with your ex, who happens to be narcissist or narcissistic, which is what we call inverted narcissism. Okay, where it's pretty much where two narcissists, you know, stay in a relationship, but one of them is has very extreme low self-esteem. So whichever side that is for either of them. I will honestly tell you, Queen, don't feed into it. Don't feed into it. Okay? If you are no longer dealing with this person, if you did commit narcissistic injury, if you did give this person some kind of injury where he's now trying to hurt you or trying to make you feel some kind of way because you gave him that injury, just know that it's if that is the case, it's a ploy. It's just a way to get you to react. It's a way to get you to jump out of your character. It's a way to basically feed that situation, feed that supply. I, under all circumstances, say if you've gone no contact, stay that way. Stay that way. Okay. Her attempts clearly show the pathetic route that they're trying to go, which is not uncommon. It's not uncommon. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of other people who are going through it too. But if in most cases she's not, there is not inverted narcissism going on there, more than likely, she can be an enabler to his, narcissistic abuse, or, and I want to run this by you guys too, because people, well, first and foremost, I want to explain something. I read studies that, 5% of the world's population is diagnosed with NPD. Okay. Which means that, and I did the calculation on this, guys. It's 7 billion people on the planet. 5% of that, what did I say it was, Amanda? 375 million people. 375 million people. Okay. How true that is, how concrete that is, I don't know. But what I want you to also understand, guys, is, and I'm not going to try to confuse anyone, but I want you to be open to so many different options. In this case, Queen, you could be dealing with someone who is a victim of narcissistic abuse, okay? And he's embedded in a trauma bond with that person. He's internalized the narcissistic abuse, and he's basically, in this point, he's relating with the abuser and the abusive tactics. This is primarily the reason why I tell people, if you are a victim of narcissistic abuse, if you are a victim of, any type of relational abuse, that it's important to heal. It's important to get the help that you need for it, because with you being a victim, or anyone being a victim of narcissistic abuse, they can internalize those behaviors, and without properly healing, if they decide to get involved with other people, it's kind of like I don't want to say body snatching, but it's kind of like that energy that that spirit that is attached to the narcissist, to the narcissistic individual, can attach to you, and you are coming off as a narcissistic person. This is why I tell people, if you've gone through it, go through your healing first. Don't get involved with anyone, because you'll end up hurting someone else with the same abusive tactics that the narcissist person was in your life. But in this case, I think I'm gonna do a video, guys, on narcissistic abuse victim syndrome. Okay, I'm gonna do a video on that one, so we can understand, the differences, and we can understand the behaviors. But yeah, Queen, don't feed into it. Don't feed into it. It's just a way to get you to react. It's a way to, to hit you where it hurts. And once people come to the acknowledgement that these are the tactics they stoop so low to, it's like, you get bored with it. You're like, okay, what? I don't know how long it's been since your situation, but it's definitely not uncommon for them to try to really poke the bear. Okay, so definitely try to just stay the course. Okay, stay the course, and don't, and I'm getting air. Stay the course, and don't let them, don't let them deter you from what you're trying to do. Okay, it's like you got to have that tunnel vision. So they're going to be throwing darts at you. They're going to be doing all kinds of stuff to try to get you to, and guys, you guys know, you guys have been through it, so you can definitely let her know that these are tactics that they use to try to get you to jump out of character. And that way, when you do react, they'll be able to use that as a weapon against you. They'll be able to use your anger and your reaction as a weapon against you, creating this whole, this whole false appearance that you're unstable. It was clear he was talking about our shit situation, or unless she knows he's a narcissist. Well, narcissists are known to keeping their exes around. They're known to keeping their exes in the loop, in their lives, whether they have children with them or not. They're known to keeping exes around because they like to recycle. They do like to recycle. So, if you are dealing with someone who, and this is why I say discernment is very important, but if you are dealing with someone who says, well, me and my ex are still friends, and listen, I'm not going to say just flat out call him a narcissist, because that's not the case, but you do want to use your discernment, and you do want to keep your intuition, and you definitely want to keep your guard up, because you just don't know. You don't know the situation. You don't know how deep that relationship was or how deep it goes. You don't know any of it. But a lot of narcissists, they do like to keep their exes, people that they've dealt with, people that they've been intimate with, people that they have, messed around with, what have you. They like to keep them in a harem. They like to keep them in their lives because, it's a lot easier, especially, if you discarded them or if they just got bored with you, but there is no new supply in sight. It's a lot easier for them to just kind of go backwards, just to go backwards. So they'll try to hoover the ex. They'll try to, hey, listen, I've, been thinking about us lately and I've missed you, and all that bullshit, because that's what it is. And they will try, especially if you're dealing with a narcissist, more than likely, it's not always the case, but they probably, if they do have an ex that they keep in their life, that's probably a victim that was before you. Okay. And because of the fact that that ex, if they're breadcrumbing them, consistently breadcrumbing them, future faking them, making them believe, that there's going to be some hope or some chance of them ever getting back together, or whatever the case may be, the exes will usually agree to be friends or to be in each other's lives. And you got these kind of relationships where people that are like, they're back and forth. Like, if they're not dealing with other people, they may mess around with each other, in between, because it's comfortable. It's somebody that they know, and I'm one, listen, everybody's different, but, I'm one who is just not, I'm not for it. I'm really not for it. I don't care if they're a narcissist or not. I'm just not for it at all. Yeah, he's a scapegoat. Usually scapegoat narcissist men resent their mothers. Okay? They resent their mothers. And that's due to the fact that they were emasculated. A lot of the time. They're the ones who have a lot of the responsibility. They're the ones who have to, it's really more about emasculation, but with them resenting their mothers, they're pretty much taking out on the females that they're with. They're taking out their feelings and their emotions towards their mothers on these women, and as much as I strongly advise people to learn the history of people, man. Like, you got to learn history, learn family history, watch how they are with their family, watch how they communicate, pay attention to, the dynamics. It's because that scapegoat type of mentality can really turn them into a very nasty person. It could turn them into a tyrant, an extreme tyrant, because they're so used to internalizing the negatives of their dysfunctional, dysfunctional family, the dynamics, what have you. And they, it's kind of like they flip it out and they turn it on to the next person. So if you're a kind, loving, genuine, sincere kind of woman, it's triggering for them. Because if they're the types that they resent their mother, if their mother was a narcissist, they resent their mother because the mother was very abusive, verbally abusive, emotionally, constantly, just, it doesn't even have to be physically, but constantly beating them down. Now you're showing them something opposite of that. It's like they're always on the defense. So it's like, okay, this is too good to be true, or you're just, you're playing mind games with me. You're manipulating me. That's their mindset. You're manipulating me. You're lying to me. Why? Because more than likely their mothers were doing the same thing. So they can't tell real from fiction. And what they do is they walk around with that paranoia. They walk around with that, the trust issues, the fear of trusting people, because it's, if you guys, ladies, if you dealt with a male narcissist, and if he was very, very brutal and very just a nasty person, or he was just like, very, very brutal with his words and his actions, and how he treated you, the chances are when he looked at you, he was looking at his mother. That's probably the big chances. And he was pretty much yelling at you and telling you things that he really probably wanted to tell his mom. Yeah, Queen. So if that's the case, if she's codependent and she relies on him to take care of her financially, emotionally, in every aspect, it's he had so much pushed onto him, probably from a very young age, that I don't really think it would have mattered what you did. It really wouldn't have mattered. You could have, I'm a firm believer of unconditional love can change a lot of things. It can change a lot of things. But I really am very skeptical about giving that false hope to people when it boils down to extremely traumatized, extremely damaged people. Okay? Because as much as you want to give them unconditional love and show them that it's okay, it's safe to be loved, it's safe to be compromising, it's safe to, be in a relationship and trust, you would really be setting yourself up. You'd be setting yourself up for disappointment. If that is the kind of responsibility someone wants to take, then just know that, it's a very toxic road. It's a very toxic road, and it's a very detrimental road. You're running the risk of screwing with your own mental health, trying to, to help these types of people. That's what they say. Leave it to the professionals. Let the professionals deal with them. Okay. If they want to acknowledge they have a problem and they want to go for the help, that is one thing. Okay. But if they're sitting there allowing their dysfunctions and their trauma and all of the, the brutality behind it to do all of the leading and the just to basically direct them in their lives, you're going to have to let it go. And it's hard. I know it's hard because you want so much to care and you want so much to show them that they are loved. But at the end of the day, it's just, you would be setting yourself up. You would be setting yourself for extreme failure. And not only that, but you'd be setting yourself up for a lot of damage within yourself. So I mean, I can't tell people what to do. You have people who stay in relationships with narcissistic people. You have people who live with it, who just deal with it and, try to maneuver around it. And if that's what you do, then, I'm completely respectful of it. But at the end of the day, if you choose to stay with someone of this nature, acknowledging that they are of this nature, at the end of the day, if anything goes wrong, if everything, it damages you, sad to say it, but you would be the one to blame because you chose to take on something that there is no guarantee of anything, so I just strongly say if you're gonna stay in relationships like this, guys, don't have any expectations. Don't create any expectations. Andrea, 2 years no contact and many Hoovers, none lately. Because eventually they'll get the idea. They'll get either that or they'll just sit and wait. They'll let time go by, and they'll just they'll sit and wait to see until if the dust has like really really settled. Well, yeah, Stella. Stella says I'm the ex. He hasn't tried to recycle me. You know why? Because you're not gonna fall for it. You're not gonna fall for it. I've noticed that narcissistic people, these emotional, psychological manipulators, go for the exes that still carry a torch for them, that they know still carry a torch for them, that they know that haven't healed. They know if you have not healed, let me tell you something. They will go back towards exes that have like had no kind of clarity whatsoever. And it's like, or if they've convinced the ex that they're doing them a good deed by, the narc is doing them a good deed by discarding them because of whatever reason. They'll make up whatever excuse. In that they say, well, whenever someone says, you know what, I'm not happy, blah, 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 whatever the case may be, but I don't want to lose you. You're a good person. You're this, you're that. I don't, have you ever heard that? I don't want to lose you. I think we should just be friends, because I don't want you. By the way, guys, Amanda is here with me, but she's sitting behind the scenes. But they say, I don't want to lose you. Let's continue to be friends. Let's just continue to be in each other's lives. I can't help but look at that and say, so you want me to be in your life and watch you date other people? But you have exes who fall for that. They sit there and they fall. Hi, Cherise. How are you, sweetheart? They fall for that. They sit there and say, well, I guess friendship is better than nothing. So I get to keep the person in my life. Don't do that, guys. Don't do that. You guys deserve so much more. And this is not directed towards anyone personally, just anyone who's watching. You deserve so much more. You really, really do. Okay? And to sit there and just accept the breadcrumb, accept the mind games, the in and out, accept all of that. It just lets them know that you don't respect yourself. You don't respect yourself. I personally, listen, I don't have any animosity. I don't have any hatred towards my ex. I really don't. I truly don't. But I respect myself. I learned that I respect myself enough to say, you after all of this, you want me? No. Especially after the way, being disrespected and, just being demeaned in the process, they still find a way to try to convince their victims, let's just be friends. Let's just be in each other's lives. Or if they give you the whole, let's go on a break. We need to go on a break. For what? We need to just go on a break and figure things out. No, that's code. That's code for, I'm really feeling this over here, but I don't really know if this is going to be sustainable for me. I don't know what's behind closed doors on this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you we should take a break. I'm going to go check this out. Fill it a little bit, fill it up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Get a nice little cup of feel. But if it don't work out for me, okay, break's over. I had time to reflect. I had time to think. I realized I love you. I realized I want to be with you. Y'all already know what I'm going to say about that. Okay? Y'all already know what I'm going to say about that. Yes, Stella. Stella says, Erica, I suffered from cognitive dissonance, kept me stuck for many years. And you know something? I know quite, now that I've learned what I learned now, I know quite a few people who are stuck in cognitive dissonance. And it's they just lose touch of every and anything. And it's just pretty much like it's just being embedded in that, staying stuck in that, and to the point where you're stuck in that cycle. Whether it be with the same person or it be with other people with the similar qualities, you stay stuck in that cycle. I personally, listen, I was afraid. I was afraid of the unknown. I was afraid to imagine what my life would be. I was afraid because I always thought that, this person was my person. This person was the one I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. And I was afraid to let it go. I was afraid. And admittingly, guys, I'm going to tell you something. And I don't know if maybe I mentioned it before. I really tried. I tried to convince myself, all right, fine. You know, well, I'll give him some time. You know, I'll give him some space, and you know, we'll try the friendship thing, and you know, and see. I tried to really psych myself out to believe that was okay. That was okay, and it no, no, because while I'm sitting there trying to psych myself out, what was being done was I was being breadcrumbed. I was being breadcrumbed. Okay? It's like, you know, listen, you're not giving me clarity, you're not telling me what's going on, you know, you're just kind of. And whenever I would bring something up, I got met with rage. I got met with anger. I got met with aggression. And that would push me because I'm like, oh, you know, and I would go crawling back into my corner. And once he realized that this is all I have to do to keep you, you know, from asking questions, to keep you from trying to gain clarity, once he caught on to that, he was, you know, any little thing I said, you know, why, who, how, boom, 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 boom. And he would throw all of that at me. That's something they don't want you to know. When you start asking questions and you get met with aggression, and you have every right to ask questions, trust me, something ain't right there. Something is not right there. So once I saw, I was seeing things with my own two eyes. It just a lot of different things that not only did not sit right, but if I were to tell anybody what was going on, everybody would tell me the same thing. He was fucking playing you, Erica. And that's exactly what it was. Because he knew that I had my heart set on him, and I would be willing to do anything that it took to get that back, to get that love, to get that connection back. And at the end of the day, when you see everything for what it truly is, what do you decide to do? I'm one of those people that, listen, you don't got to tell me twice. You don't have to tell me twice. And everything that was going on, everything, I took the reality for what it was. I took the reality pill. Okay. I took that pill that Neo took when he wanted to know what the hell the Matrix was about. I took that reality pill and I started seeing everything clearly for what it was. And I didn't look back. I did not look back. I didn't bother to go back and try to make it work. I didn't go back to, you know, try to gain clarity, try to get answers. I didn't go back to any of that. I'm like, look, you show me who you are. You show me what you're about. This is the game you play. And this was probably the same game his ex played with him. I don't know. But this is the kind of stuff that you do. And it's not for me. You realize what's for you and what's not for you, you know. But it's because of the fact that they think you don't have self-respect, you don't have self-love, and maybe in some cases you didn't feel it at the time. Maybe, you know, because everything was happening and you're like, you allow things to happen. They use that against you, guys. They use it against you, and they'll hurt you with it. They will hurt you with it, and it's all because the same bull crap was done to them. It was done to them, and because people got results out of it, they just flip it onto you. But a lot of you are too smart for that. A lot of you are way too smart for it. Let me see. Hi, Davey. Yeah, Davey goes, ain't no break. They can break their leg for all I care. You know, that's usually when people say I want to go on a break. It's really, you know, I want to explore. I want to try something different. I want to see what else is out there. When someone won't properly just break things off with you or end things with you, you know, if they're not happy, they're not happy, you know. But if they're not trying to properly cut it right then and there, and rather they're trying to still keep you around because there's something that you can still provide them. That's fucking selfish. That is very selfish. Anyone who sits there and says, let's take a break, let's just spend some time apart. I made mine permanent. Let's just make that clear. I made mine permanent. I don't do breaks. I made that clear before, guys. I don't do breaks. Okay? But when someone wants to do that, and it's with intention to lead you on, and even though they're trying to say I didn't lead you on, I didn't say this, that's bull. You didn't want to give me answers, you didn't want to give me clarity, you didn't want to properly give this closure, you didn't want to end this, but you wanted me to sit here on ice and just pretty much wait until you decided to take your non-committal ass out there and do whatever you wanted to do and then come back into my bed? No. I don't think so. I don't think so. Ty says in my Stewie voice, it's not that I want to kill her. I just don't want her to be alive anymore. Where the hell do you get this stuff from, dude? Hi, Butch. Oh, man. Cicely, I never got the friend thing. I asked her to be friends when I saw red flags, but she said either we're together or nothing. Yeah, I wouldn't have even offered her that. The minute you see red flags, the minute you see things that you don't, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on red flags, guys, because oftentimes you can, based on whatever experiences you've had, sometimes you can take innocent gestures, innocent actions, innocent things, you can take them as red flags. But the minute you see certain things that don't sit right because their actions and their words are not matching, you don't even want to be friends with people like that. Okay? Because even if you just remain friends with people like that, they'll find some kind of way to be just as selfish. And, narcissists are not just about romantic relationships. They can be in your circle of friends. They can be in your family. They can be in your workplace. They can be anywhere. So the minute you start to see that their behaviors are not sitting right with your spirit, they're not sitting right with you, period, you just don't want to be involved with people like that. You really don't. Most convoluted encounter following the discard was meeting the great pretender, someone posing as a help when a narc themselves, so only been compared to his last supply. I was like, what? Yeah. It's what is that? It's like that, it's like, well, no, not mirroring, but I've been there. I've been there. Where I had been compared to the ex, I've been compared to the, there's just so many different, it's they basically, they look at it as if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck, right? Meantime, I was a little puppy dog, those big brown eyes, very innocent. I wasn't doing anything wrong. But what were they doing? They were putting the beak on me. They put on the duck feet and they had me walking around quacking. Fucking quacking. I was tweaking. I was going crazy because I'm a dog. I'm a puppy. I'm a cute one of those cute the little fuzzy puppies. But you put a beak on me. You put those duck feet on me. You got me, and this is, I'm conforming because you are basically projecting onto me. You're projecting those issues onto me. What? Davey, really? But yeah. How am I going to be a cute little puppy if all you're doing is, beaking me? There you go. But it's you can't, you don't find room to be yourself. You try to be who you are. You think you're doing a good job. You think that you're being yourself, but the reality of it was that they were more. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that, Davey. That's okay. It's an analogy, guys. I'm a little puppy, but it's been a long week for us all, guys. It's been a long week for us all. But you gotta understand something, guys. Especially ladies, like I told you, if you dealt with a scapegoat type of narcissist, you're dealing with someone who's really, really got that trauma embedded in them. Like I said, primarily from their mother, because it's I mean, but it could be their fathers too. So don't fall asleep on that, okay? Because their fathers can be narcissistic too. Or if their mom was a narcissist, chances are their fathers were very passive aggressive, where they just allowed, which is pretty much what enablers do. They become very passive aggressive to the abuse. They allow things to happen. It's normalized. It's considered normality. It's just considered, that's just the way it is. And they grew up with that, and that's something that's ingrained in their mind. It's ingrained. It's a person. And the thing of it is that these personality disorders, people tend to think that it's, I mean, you got two different sides of everything, but it's a distortion of the personality. Okay, we don't develop a personality until after we're born. And to be quite honest with you, okay, our personality is a blank canvas when we're infants, when we're babies. Okay, our parents, our caregivers are the ones responsible for the development of our personalities. And if you got parents who are narcissists that are projecting their personality onto you, if you have parents who are avoidant attachments, if you have parents who are insecure attachments, they're projecting those insecurities, they're projecting those trust issues, they're projecting the selfishness, they're projecting all of that onto you. Your personality is absorbing that. It's absorbing all of it. What makes you different, if you're a codependent from a narcissist, what makes you different is how you internalize it, how you internalize the abuse. Narcissists, they relate to the abusers. They relate to the abuse process. Codependents, they relate to the afflictions. They relate to the pain, the feeling of it, the insecurities of it all. And it's really messed up, which is why now a lot of us have to reprogram. We have to reprogram our minds. We got to reprogram how we see things, how we do things, how we think about things. Everything has to be reprogrammed, because we grew up not even with our own personalities. We grew up with the personalities that are projected onto our screen, which is our blank canvas of our own personality. And that's unfortunately, yes, Queen. She says, Erica, he said he was taught that crying, it's weak for a man. Yes, they are usually taught that, and this is just, and this is what creates toxic masculinity. They are taught that vulnerability, emotions, trust, what have you, it's weak. It's a weakness. So if you are dealing with a man who was taught these things, you're dealing with someone who is pretty much probably emasculated even more, because as a child they had shown vulnerability. They showed, they cried, maybe they just got, they were sensitive, whatever the case may be. And who knows, maybe the parents, or one of the parents, maybe they got, beaten, abused physically, because it's a sign, in their parents' eyes, it's a sign of weakness. So when it boils down to their tears, when they're crying, in this case, it's primarily due to their own trauma. Okay? If you are in pain and you are crying and you are hurting, if you notice, I don't know how many of you have gone through this, but if you're in pain and you're hurting, and especially during a discard, and you're like, how could you do this? I was with you all these years. We had all this time to, whatever the case may be. And they're just looking at you like you're being annoying, or they're looking at you like, yeah, here you go crying again. See, I told you, overly emotional. They're looking at you like it's just like, why are you crying? It's like them coming up to you, jabbing a knife, and then getting mad at you for bleeding on their knife. Are you freaking kidding me? It took me a while to understand that they don't process emotions. They don't process these things. So if you have at any time inflicted narcissistic injury on these people, and they are coming to you with a sob story and they're crying, whatever the case, it's from their own trauma. It's because of them. It's not because they hurt you. If they come back and they tell you, I love you and this and that, and I'm sorry or whatever, it's not the fact that they hurt you. It's not the fact that they've committed such a transgression against you. It's because of the fact that they lost your supply. They lost whatever resource they could get out of you, whether that be emotionally, sexually, financially, physically, energetically, whatever. They lost your supply. And because they lost it, now they're feeling butthurt about it. But people want to believe that these people can feel. Listen, are they capable of feeling? Yes. But do they choose to do it? No. They that part of their brain is just pretty much, it's shut off. It's shut off. If you had parents your entire life having you believe that emotions was bad, emotions, vulnerability was wrong, it's been ingrained in your mind, that's going to be dormant. That part of your brain is going to be dormant. It's just going to pretty much be like sealed shut. So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad if you dealt with these type of people and they made you feel inadequate, and they made you feel like you were overly emotional, you were overly sensitive, and you are just too much, and you're just way too much for them. Don't feel bad about it, guys. Don't beat yourself up about it, because trust me, you have more normality than you think. Your feelings, your empathy, your emotions, your vulnerabilities, your everything about you, that is normal. That is normal. What they are dealing with is not normal. It is not normal at all. Okay? That's not how children should be brought up. That's not how children should be raised. And unfortunately, you do have parents that do this, and you have children who internalize it. Not everybody does, because, you can have a codependent person who has narcissist parents, but because their level of empathy supersedes the amount of control and manipulation that the parents try to embed in their brain, they chose not to be like them. They chose to go their own path and just, do their own thing. Cicely goes, yeah, if we show weakness, human emotions as a man is viewed as weak. Even watching certain movies will make you less of a man to some. That's them projecting onto you. That is them projecting onto you. People will project onto people. Okay? And, it's like me with my content, right? My content is very triggering. My content is very direct. You guys know me, very vocal. And how I speak on things, how I deliver things, I have my intentions behind it. How people perceive it, totally different. It's totally different. It's, for example, when I told you guys on my TikTok, I put up my videos. I have all over my platform, my handle even says Narc Survival 101. Okay? Clearly that is indicative of narcissistic abuse survival. My videos cover narcissistic abuse, manipulation, emotional, any kind of relational abuse. But I have people who have commented saying, well, you're stereotyping people, you're generalizing. And I'm like, how is that possible? It's written in black and white. What I say, what I write down doesn't matter, because if someone perceives it however way they want to perceive it, that's what they're going to do. So if if someone told you, well, crying is weak and this and that, or whatever the case may be, but if I came to you and you knew I was genuine, you know that I'm being honest with my words and I'm being truthful and helping you get beyond what you're going through, and I told you it's perfectly normal, it is perfectly fine, it is absolutely normal. And if I told you this every single day, and I told you and I confirmed every single day that it's okay to be vulnerable, it is okay to cry, it is okay to feel bad, you can actually take what someone who has no good intentions for you, who has put that into your mind, and take what someone who has all the best intentions for you and put that into your mind. You can actually flip that around, because at some point you're going to start to see, especially if you're consistent with, with being in my circle, you're consistent in understanding the truth about things, you will begin to believe that, okay, this person who told me that a man crying is weak, a man crying is, that's not a man, is also the same person who was talking down to me, making me feel like crap, making me feel less of a man. But then I got this person who is telling me that it's okay to cry, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to feel your emotions, it's okay to feel the triggers, it's okay to feel these things, who also happens to be the person that is telling me I am good enough, I am a good person, I deserve goodness, I deserve happiness, I deserve love in my life. Which one are you going to believe? Which one are you going to believe? And Cicely, that is exactly my point when it comes to men. And I want all of you men to understand that it is okay. You were born with feelings. You were born with emotions. You were born with natural empathy. You were born with all of these things. Because someone tried to strip it from you, they tried to take that away from you, they had you try to believe that you are not. And any woman who tells you you're weak because you cry, you're weak because you are emotional and you're vulnerable, you're not a real man, is a woman who suffers daddy issues, and that's something that she's projecting onto you. I will tell you firsthand, gentlemen, that it is okay for you to feel. It is okay for you to cry. It is okay for you to go through whatever emotions you need to go through. Hi, official. Hi, sweetheart. It's okay for you to do that. It is okay. And if she tells you that you're weak because you do it, that chick got some serious problems herself, and she's just projecting her issues, whatever resentment she feels towards her father, she's projecting that onto you. Or whatever her mother put into her head that had her thinking that emotions are not it, are not the what is the, I don't even know the lingo anymore that people use nowadays. Okay, if she tells you these things, it's because it's been embedded in her brain that, I don't know, maybe Papa was a Rolling Stone and he decided to leave because of her narcissistic mother and he couldn't take her shit. And her mother blamed her for her father leaving. You understand? There's always going to be some type of connection between all of that. And you know what, Cicely? Society. I'm going to tell you a little something about society. Nothing but a bunch of opinionated motherfuckers. That's it. That's all society is. Okay? Look at society now. Look at how everything's now. Okay? You're not the shit unless you have 500,000 followers. Okay? You're not the shit unless you're putting your ass on the internet and you're getting fucking 300,000 likes. You're not the shit unless you're driving the latest car. You're nothing unless you have the latest, designer bags or the latest freaking makeup. I still buy my makeup at Walgreens. What are you talking about? I don't go to MAC. I don't get my stuff from for what? Why am I gonna spend $100 on a foundation that's just gonna come rub off right on my mask anyway? It's a waste of freaking money. I'd rather spend what, $10 on a foundation that lasts me all day. Society has this whole concept, and it's based on what? It's based on idealistic goals, idealistic wants. And because of the fact that not many people, not everyone can live up to those ideals, they keep raising the bar. They keep sitting there, and people are actually falling for that. People are falling for that. They're sitting there saying, I have to live up to this. I have to live up to these expectations. What the hell is society? Who is society? Seriously. A bunch of people who look to compete with one another. That's what society enables. Competition. They enable competition. They enable sex selling because, they enable all of that stuff. And at the end of the day, it's all to gain something out of it. Listen, society can blow me. Okay? Straight up. Straight up. It's ridiculous. I wear my makeup. I like to enhance my look. Yes. I like to enhance certain things about myself. Yes, it makes me feel feminine. It makes me feel good. But you guys have seen me on my best days. You guys have seen me on my worst days. Okay? And at the end of the day, it's about who I am. It's about who I am and what I can contribute. That's what it's about. I remember, Amanda can tell you, I love to watch I Love Lucy. I love to watch that show. And I seen how it was back in the day. That's how it was. You had people who would, but something, with the way it is now, with all the overexposure and everything, where would everybody be if there was no social media? Where would it be? Where would everybody be? Where would the awareness be? Where would the educational clips be? Where would everything and everyone be? Everyone, listen, don't be so caught up on trying to live up to society's standards, because the standards of a lot of people in society are set by bullies. It's set by bullies. And quite frankly, I'm just like, I'm so over it. I'm really over it. My purpose, my goal, when I do my social media, when I do my platforms, it's to give back to the community. That's what it is. It's to give back to the community. I don't need the attention. I don't need to have, a bunch of dudes all up on me just to feel good, just to feel like a woman. I do that on my own. I do it on my own. I stand in front of my mirror, butt naked. Damn, girl, you fine. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn what anyone else says about it. Oh yeah, nah, I'm very, listen, I'm very simple. I'm very, but I've always learned to be a humble person, because that's just in me. That's who I am. And that's, if you go by what society says, if you go by what society is putting out there, when they keep raising the bar, you're going to end up broke. You're going to end up alone, and you're going to end up just, probably destroying your life. Like, no, set your own standards, walk your own path, do your own thing, go in your own direction, be separate yourself from it. Because it's just a bunch of people who don't even have their shit together trying to set those standards on other people. Man, listen. Of course, Ty. Oh, I'm very honest. I'm very honest, and you guys already know me. People who come across me know that, I'm a very upfront person. I'll tell it like it is. I tell it like it is. I don't need to live up to the standards of anyone but God. That's it. That's it. Society ain't gonna do nothing for me when I pass away. It's gonna continue, right? It's gonna continue going on. So why spend your life trying to live up to the standards of what society is putting out there when you could be living your life, enjoying your life? You could be living your life doing what makes you happy. What makes you happy? What makes you you? If you're happy crying, shit, cry. We were just watching what was it, a movie? I was getting emotional the other day. I was crying. I'm like, she's like, are you crying? Yeah, I'm an emotional person. I'm an emotional person. And you know something? There is nothing more attractive than a man who is emotional, who's in tune with his emotions, who's in tune with his feelings. There's nothing more attractive than a man like that. Let me explain something to you guys. Women, I don't listen unless you're dealing with a woman who likes abuse, who likes to be treated that way, who likes a guy who has literally no type of emotional growth. Okay? Women find men, genuine women, okay, women of my stature, find men who are emotionally connected, emotionally in tune, emotional growth, vulnerable. We like men like that. That serves its purpose for proper communication, for healthy boundaries, for a healthy relationship. I don't want a man who's a brute. I don't want a man who sits there like, well, screw this. I'm not going to be emotional. Get the hell away from me. What the hell do I want with you? What would I need a man if he's not emotional? What would I need a man who can't be vulnerable? Why would I need a man, period? If that's all I'm gonna just get detached, emotionally avoidant. That's what I'm gonna. I love myself a little too much to have to deal with somebody like that. Of course, men need to understand that it's you know, if a man's telling another man, well, crying is weak. It shows that you're weak and you can't show a woman this and that. That's because he's miserable and he wants to make that person miserable too. But because I'm miserable, I'm gonna tell you that this is wrong so you can be miserable alongside me. Man, I personally do not like detached men. I do not like unemotional men who don't understand, because a man who's not emotional is not going to understand a woman who is. A man who is not in tune with his emotions and being vulnerable is not going to understand a woman who is. And unless he likes a female who is just as detached and just as abusive and just as verbally, and emasculating, I refuse. I refuse. Of course, Cicely, it's being human. You're being human. Don't let no chick tell you, oh my God, I'm crying. That's not what a man does. Well, clearly you don't understand what a man is about. Clearly you don't. How is it that a woman can come from a man but only be the one that's emotional? I don't understand that. I don't. We share chromosomes, don't we? We share certain biologically, don't we? Why do you think you have tear ducts? Why? I mean, come on. Emotions are fine. Emotions are normal. Okay? Embrace it. Enjoy it. Because one day you're going to have a daughter. One day you're going to have a daughter, and your daughter is going to learn from you. And if you love your daughter and you care about your daughter, you don't want to see your daughter hurt, you're going to teach her what an emotionally available man is. Do you want your daughter to be with a man who will treat her like dirt, who will talk down to her, who will verbally abuse her, and just bring her self-esteem down even worse? And I never understood that about certain men. I never understood that, where, and I don't know if it's subconscious or not, but you have men who are emotionally unavailable, emotionally detached, narcissistic, what have you. They have daughters, but it's like If you hurt my daughter, I'll hurt you. Okay, but what do you think you're doing to someone else's daughter? That made no sense to me. Still doesn't make sense to me. Don't understand it. Won't even try. Won't even try. And if you become, if you show that to your child, if you say to your child, well, whatever. If you're whatevs with your kid, she's going to be in relationships, emotionally unavailable relationships. She's gonna be, it's a generational curse that we all need to break, guys. We need to break it, and we need to break it fast, because I'm at my wit's end here. I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. Davey says, it's like, they know it's okay to cry, just not in front of people. I've seen a lot get made fun of growing up, so they just quit. Yeah. And that's because of what those people were taught. That's because of what those people were taught. People who truly care about you, who love you, who want to see you happy, who are just in tune with you. Okay? Your soul tribe, your people that you can just rely on no matter what, will never judge you. They'll never judge you and say, oh, why are you crying? Why are you crying? Especially if you're going through something. Those are the people that'll act like they can never go through what you went through. Oh, I can't let that happen to me. Oh shit. I don't know how you let that happen to you. Stop listening to other people, man. Stop listening to external people who are just going through their own shit and they're projecting their shit onto you. Okay? You don't have anything to prove. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Only one you got to prove is to your higher being, whoever that is, whether it be God, whether it be the universe, whatever the case may be. Those are the only people that you have to prove to. You don't have to prove to people who are just as flawed as you. You don't have to. And that's something that a lot of survivors and victims need to understand. You spend a lot of your time trying to prove yourself to these people who aren't really going to get you anywhere. They're not going to get you where you need to be. And because they live with what they've internalized with their caregivers, their family, it's like misery loves company. Misery loves company. And if you're happy, well, I'm not happy. So because I'm not happy, I'm going to make you unhappy. And that's why when I did my video on, when they say you don't make me happy. Okay, well, then, it's not my responsibility to make you happy. I choose to make you happy. I've chose to share I'm a naturally happy person. I chose to share my happiness with you. But because my happiness that I'm sharing with you doesn't live up to your standards, your expectations, your wants, your desires, you want to sit here and blame me for you not being happy? Nah, man. No. A relationship is something that you do by choice. It's something you have by choice. There is no obligation in the relationship. Clearly, especially since so many people commit infidelity, okay? But I can guarantee you this much. Someone who is really like on some real manipulative type shit, I can guarantee you if for every time they committed infidelity, they would get castrated, trust and believe, you'll get that clarity before they ever try to freaking discard you or before they ever try to lead you on. Okay? You will get that clarity. All right, Ty, yeah. We cry, we get emotional. It's our empathy. It is what it is. It just lets you know how empathetic you are. Okay? I've gotten emotional. I got emotional over The Lion King. Who doesn't? Who has not gotten emotional over that movie? I cried. Okay? I cried. So trust and believe. I get so emotional over so much. I'm just now getting back into my emotions. Believe that or not, guys. But I take my logic. I take my brain with me. Because though I get emotional, I get overly emotional, I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid, and I'm not going to sit here and let people take advantage of me. That's not going to happen. But guys, it is 9:35. I'm so glad to see that you guys came today. I'm so glad that you guys could be here. I'm glad I could be here with you guys. We always have, every time we have the live chats, we always have great conversations. I'm truly appreciative of it. I'm appreciative of you guys just being part of all of this. And for those who couldn't make it, I still love you guys anyway. I love you guys, all of you. You guys will catch it on the stream. Oh my gosh. But I'm really, really happy that, we can all, I appreciate you too, Cicely. I'm really happy that we can all, just come together and just be there for one another, really, really be there for one another and just enjoy each other's company, talk to one another, and just comfort. I've had a very good stride on the TikTok platform. I mean, that a lot of people are becoming, they're watching the videos and they're really, really getting into the groove of things. Have a great night, Allie. Yeah, Davey. I don't know. I mean, I might, maybe I might move it to Fridays. We'll see. Because at least with that, then I don't have to worry about going to work tomorrow, right? So I'll definitely be on the lookout for that date. But just know, guys, that you're not alone. You're loved, all of you. Okay, you've all gone through your stuff. I thank you, Cherise. I appreciate you. Thank you, Carmen. You guys are all, you all went through your things. You went through your emotions, but you're gonna get through it. I promise you that much. You're gonna get through it. So just continue to do what you need to do. Continue your healing. Okay, continue staying focused, and reach out to me if you need me. You know where to find me. I'm so glad that I could just be a part of your journey, and I could be a part of whatever it is you're looking to do. I'm glad I could be a part of it, and I appreciate you all. I appreciate the love and support, and I'd appreciate a like button on the way out. Okay, don't forget that, guys. But I'm gonna call it a night, guys.
You didn't even talk about your subject.
I did not. You know what? It kind of covers the gaslighting. I was gonna do the gaslighting thing, but we'll get into it little by little. We'll get into it eventually. But I am gonna work on that video for you guys on narcissistic abuse victim syndrome. Okay, I want to work on that for you guys. In the meantime, guys, if you have TikTok, you can catch me on there too. So follow me on there, because I'll be telling people off, guys. You don't know. I definitely be telling people off. Like we not having that. So, but if you guys are on it at Narc Survival 101, you will catch me on there. I will be sure to follow you. What else? I think that's it. Amanda's a little too shy to come on the camera and say hello.
I'm not shy.
But it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm going to grab me some pizza. We're going to probably just chill for the remainder of the night and just call it a night. Had a long week, and I'm going to have an even longer weekend. But again, thank you so much for being here, guys. You guys are the best. I love you all. Have a great weekend. May God be with all of you. As always, hedge your protection over you. Stay the course, guys. You guys are doing it. Continue doing it. Continue moving forward, all right? Never looking backwards. The only time you're going to look backwards is when? See how big your ass is getting. All right, ladies? So you already know how it goes. I love you guys. I will see you next week. And like I said, if you need me, you guys know where to find me, all right? Blessings to you all, guys. Have a good night. Bye.